Imagine being invited to a wedding not to be celebrated, not to be respected, but to be humiliated in front of powerful people who believe you are nothing. Imagine knowing that the invitation in your hand is not kindness. It's a trap, a joke meant to break your dignity. This is the story of a woman the world ignored, a woman they tried to laugh at. But when she finally walked into that wedding, the entire room went silent, because they didn't just see a guest. They witnessed a queen returning to her throne. If you believe in stories that restore dignity, awaken strength, and prove that no one is ever truly invisible, subscribe now, because this story will stay with you till the very end. Anna was invisible to the world. Every morning before the city fully woke up, she was already there, mop in hand, sleeves rolled up, moving quietly through marble halls that echoed with wealth and authority. She cleaned floors that reflected expensive shoes, wiped fingerprints off glass doors she was never meant to walk through, and pushed her cleaning cart like a shadow no one noticed. People passed her every day. Executives on urgent calls, assistants clutching tablets, guests dressed in confidence and silk. Their eyes slid right through her, as if she were part of the walls. Useful, silent, replaceable. No greetings, no thank yous, just absence. But Anna noticed everything. She heard the whispers that weren't meant to be quiet. She's too slow. Do they really hire anyone these days? She felt the looks. Quick scans filled with judgment, followed by smirks that burned longer than words. And she swallowed it all, because survival leaves no room for pride. When rent is due and hunger waits at home, dignity becomes a luxury you can't afford. Anna had learned that lesson early. Still, among all the faces that ignored her, one face never did. Clara. Clara was a CEO's wife. Elegant, perfectly styled, always draped in designer clothes and superiority. Where others dismissed Anna without thought, Clara noticed her deliberately. Every encounter came with a sharp glance, a cold smile, a reminder of hierarchy. "Be careful," Clara once said, stepping over a freshly cleaned floor. "You people are always missing spots." You people. The word stayed long after Clara's heels clicked away. For Clara, cruelty wasn't accidental. It was a hobby. And power, to her, meant permission. Permission to belittle. Permission to mock. Permission to remind others exactly where they stood beneath her. Anna never answered back. She lowered her eyes, tightened her grip on the mop, and kept working. Silence was her armor. But one afternoon, as sunlight poured through the glass lobby and laughter rang from the upper offices, Clara had an idea. A smile curled on her lips. Not kind, not amused, but entertained. Cruelty, she decided, would make excellent fun. And Anna, quiet, invisible Anna, would be the perfect joke. The envelope was thick. Not the kind of paper Anna was used to touching. This one was smooth, heavy, expensive, cream-colored, with her name written in elegant cursive she had only ever seen on luxury storefronts. A thin line of gold sealed it shut, catching the light like it was proud of itself. A wedding invitation. Anna stood frozen in the hallway, cleaning cart beside her, the envelope trembling slightly in her hands. For a brief, dangerous second, hope flickered. Not joy, she had learned better than that, but curiosity, confusion. Why would she be invited to a wedding like this? Then she heard the laughter. Clara's laughter was unmistakable, sharp, controlled, designed to cut rather than comfort. It floated from the nearby office, followed by the murmurs of other women, soft gasps, mocking giggles. "Did she see it yet?" someone whispered. Anna's chest tightened. Moments later, Clara stepped out, her presence filling the hallway like expensive perfume. She looked Anna up and down slowly, deliberately, as if inspecting an object she already owned. "Oh, good," Clara said lightly. "You got it." Anna nodded. Her voice wouldn't come. "It's my wedding," Clara continued, tilting her head. "Well, our wedding celebration. Very exclusive, very elegant." Her eyes sparkled with something cruel. "I thought it would be nice to include everyone." The women behind her smiled. Not warmly. Never warmly. "You don't have to come if you're uncomfortable," Clara added, pretending kindness. but you are invited." She leaned closer, lowering her voice just enough to sting. "We're anything you want. Just don't look like staff." The laughter came instantly. Anna felt it like a slap. In that moment, everything became clear. This wasn't an honor. This wasn't generosity. This wasn't inclusion. It was a trap. They wanted her there so she would stand out in the wrong way. So her clothes would look cheap against designer gowns. So her skin, her posture, her silence would scream difference. They wanted to watch her shrink, to feel taller by comparison. She was meant to be the joke. That night, Anna sat alone in her small apartment, the invitation resting on the table like an accusation. The walls were thin, the furniture worn, the mirror by the door cracked at the edge, just like the belief she'd carried for years, that staying invisible kept her safe. She picked up the invitation again. Gold lettering, a 5-star venue, names that belonged to a world she cleaned but never entered. Her reflection stared back at her from the darkened window. Tired eyes, callous hands, a woman shaped by years of being overlooked. For a long time, she said nothing. Then, quietly, something shifted. She remembered her grandmother's voice, the only person who ever spoke to her like she mattered. "They only step on you when you stay on the ground," she used to say. "Stand up once and watch how fast they panic." Anna exhaled slowly. They thought she would come ashamed. They expected her to come broken. They were certain she would come small. But beneath the years of silence, beneath the swallowed humiliation, something old stirred awake. Pride. Not loud pride. Not arrogant pride. But the deep, unmovable kind. The kind that survives even when everything else is taken away. Anna didn't cry. She didn't tear up the invitation. She stood up from the back of her closet. She pulled out a garment carefully wrapped in fabric. It hadn't been worn in years. Not because it didn't fit, but because life had convinced her she no longer deserved it. It was elegant, simple, timeless, a gift from a past she rarely spoke about. As her fingers brushed the fabric, her hands stopped shaking. If they wanted a show, she would give them one. Not the kind they expected. The wedding day arrived wrapped in sunlight and luxury. The venue shimmered with glass and marble. Luxury cars lined the entrance. Music floated through the air as guests stepped out dressed in confidence and wealth. Inside, Clara stood radiant, accepting compliments like she had waited her entire life for this moment. Her eyes scanned the room repeatedly, not for love, but for anticipation. She was waiting. "You think she'll actually come?" one woman asked, sipping champagne. Clara smiled. "Oh, I hope so." Minutes passed. Then the doors opened. At first, no one noticed. Conversations continued. Laughter echoed. Glasses clinked. And then silence. One by one, heads turned. The room stilled, as if time itself had paused. Because walking in wasn't a cleaning lady. It was a woman transformed. Anna stepped forward calmly, her posture straight, her presence undeniable. The dress she wore fit her like destiny. Elegant, powerful, commanding respect without begging for it. Her hair framed her face with quiet confidence. Her eyes were steady. She didn't rush. She didn't hesitate. She didn't apologize with her body. She walked like someone who knew exactly who she was. Whispers rippled through the crowd. "Who is that?" "She's stunning. Is she important?" Clara's smile faltered, because in that moment, Anna wasn't invisible. She wasn't staff. She wasn't a joke. She was something Clara never expected her to be. Unforgettable. That night, after the echoes of the wedding still rang in her ears, Anna returned to her small apartment and closed the door behind her. The silence hit harder than the stairs. She leaned against the door, the elegant dress still clinging to her body, and for the first time in years, her strength cracked. Tears came fast, hot, uncontrollable, long overdue, not because of the humiliation she had survived, but because of the life she had buried to survive it. She slid down onto the floor and cried the way only people who have been strong for too long cry. When the storm finally passed, Anna stood up and walked to the back of her bedroom. There, beneath old coats and forgotten boxes, sat a small wooden chest. Its edges were worn, the lock slightly rusted. She hadn't opened it in years. Her hand hovered for a moment. Then she lifted the lid. Inside were pieces of another life. Photographs, smiling faces frozen in time. A younger Anna standing at podiums, shaking hands, surrounded by people who looked at her with admiration. Certificates framed in careful plastic. Newspaper clippings yellowed with age. And a name, her full name, the name that once carried weight. Anna closed her eyes as memories rushed in, sharp, vivid, impossible to ignore. She was not always a janitor. There was a time when her voice filled rooms, when people listened, when decisions she made changed lives. She remembered her parents first. Her father, a school principal who believed education was sacred, a man who stayed late every night tutoring children whose parents couldn't afford help. Her mother, a nurse who ran free clinics on weekends, never turning anyone away. They didn't have much money, but their home was rich with purpose. Respect is earned by service, her mother used to say. Leadership means lifting others, her father would add. Anna had carried those lessons into adulthood. She studied hard, graduated with honors, built a foundation focused on community development, job training, youth programs, support for struggling families. She didn't chase fame. She chased impact. And it worked. Her foundation grew. Grants followed. Her name appeared in articles. People introduced her as the woman changing lives. She had employees, partners, influence. She had dignity. Then life collapsed. It didn't happen all at once. It never does. First came the accident. A drunk driver, a rainy night. A phone call that shattered everything. Her parents were gone before she reached the hospital. Grief hollowed her. She tried to keep going, but grief attracts predators. A trusted financial advisor mishandled funds, then disappeared. Legal battles followed. Donors pulled out. The foundation collapsed under scrutiny. Anna was too broken to fight properly. Bills piled up. Friends faded. Support vanished. Within 2 years, the woman who once led boardrooms was choosing between rent and food. Pride became a liability. Survival became the only goal. She took the first job she could, cleaning offices at night. Temporary, she told herself, just until she stood back up. But days turned into years, and slowly, invisibility wrapped around her like armor. It hurt less not to expect respect. It was safer not to correct people who assumed she was nothing. So when Clara mocked her, Anna endured, because she believed that life had already decided her worth. Until that invitation. Until she walked into that room and felt the ground shift beneath her feet. They had seen her, not her job, not her uniform. Her. Anna sat on the edge of her bed, the box open before her, tears falling onto the photographs. "I forgot you," she whispered, to the woman she used to be. But something inside her answered back. "No, you survived." That night, Anna made a choice. She would not hide anymore. Not loudly, not angrily, but deliberately. The next morning, she didn't put the dress away. She folded it carefully and placed it back in the box, this time on top. Then she made phone calls she had avoided for years. Old contacts, former partners, people who once believed in her work. Some numbers were disconnected. Some calls went unanswered, but not all. A woman she used to mentor gasped when she heard Anna's voice. A former board member went silent, then asked to meet. An old journalist friend said, "I always wondered what happened to you." Anna didn't beg. She told the truth, and the truth carried power. Within weeks, doors began opening, not wide, not easily, but enough. She started small. Workshops at community centers, free training sessions, helping women who, like her, had fallen through the cracks. She worked after her cleaning shifts, tired but alive. Word spread, and slowly, the same city that once walked past her began to look again. One afternoon, Clara saw her in the lobby, not cleaning but speaking, confident, surrounded by people asking questions, taking notes. Clara frowned. For the first time, she didn't recognize the woman she thought she owned. Anna noticed her. Their eyes met. Anna didn't smile. She didn't glare. She simply held her gaze, steady, unafraid, and then turned back to her work. That moment hurt Clara more than any confrontation ever could, because humiliation only works when someone accepts it, and Anna never would again. The world hadn't changed, but Anna had, and that made all the difference. One phone call changed everything. Anna almost didn't answer it. The number was unfamiliar, and exhaustion clung to her bones after another long shift. She stood in her apartment kitchen, still in her work clothes, staring at the vibrating phone as if it belonged to someone else's life. Something told her to pick up. "Anna," the voice said softly. Then disbelief. "Oh my God, it's really you." Anna's breath caught. Janet. She hadn't said that name out loud in years. Janet had been more than a friend once. She was a collaborator, a strategist, a woman who believed in Anna's vision before the world ever noticed. While Anna built foundations and programs, Janet built identities, quietly shaping public images for leaders, philanthropists, and movements that changed history. Janet had left the city years ago. When everything fell apart, Anna had assumed Janet left her behind too. "I saw your name on a volunteer sign-up sheet," Janet said, at a community center. "I thought it couldn't be you, but I hoped." Silence stretched between them, thick with everything unsaid. "I'm getting married," Anna finally said, not knowing why the words came out that way. Maybe because weddings had reopened old wounds. Maybe because this one felt like a crossroads. Janet exhaled. "No, you're not." Anna frowned. "What?" "You're reintroducing yourself," Janet said gently. "And you don't do that accidentally." They met the next day. Janet walked into the cafe like time had folded in on itself. Tailored jacket, sharp eyes, calm confidence. But when she saw Anna, something softened. She reached across the table and held Anna's hands as if anchoring her. "They broke you," Janet said quietly, "but they never erased you." Anna looked away. "I don't want revenge." Janet nodded. "Good. Revenge is noisy. Dignity is unforgettable." That was the moment everything changed. This was never about a dress. It was about reclaiming identity. Janet didn't ask for details at first. She asked questions that mattered. Who are you when no one is watching? Where do you stand for when power is stripped away? What part of you survived when everything else collapsed? They spoke for hours about Anna's parents, the foundation, the collapse, the years of invisibility. Janet listened, not with pity, but precision. "They don't see you," Janet said at last. "Not because you're small, but because they've trained themselves not to look down." Anna swallowed. "I don't want to humiliate anyone." "You won't," Janet replied. "You'll simply exist fully." From that moment on, every detail became intentional, not extravagant, not loud, intentional. They didn't shop at luxury boutiques meant to scream wealth. Janet chose a designer who believed elegance was restraint, someone who understood that true power never begs for attention. The dress was selected not to impress, but to align, lines that spoke of authority, fabric that moved with confidence, a silhouette that didn't apologize. "This isn't a costume," Janet said as Anna stood in front of the mirror. "It's a mirror." They talked about posture, about silence, about how people with true power never rush to fill space. They let others lean in. Janet taught her how rooms work. "Every room has an energy," she explained. "Most people react to it. Leaders said it. They rehearsed nothing flashy. No speeches. No confrontations. No explanations. Just presence. The goal wasn't a shock. It was to disrupt expectations. "You are not going there to prove them wrong," Janet reminded her the night before the wedding. "You're going there to remember yourself." Anna slept little that night. Not from fear, but from awakening. Memories surfaced uninvited. Her mother adjusting her collar before school. Her father reminding her to stand straight, because the world listens differently when you do. In the early hours of morning, Anna stood before the mirror. For years, she had avoided looking too closely. Tonight, she didn't flinch. She didn't see a janitor. She saw a survivor, a leader reshaped by fire, A woman who had carried dignity through humiliation without losing it. Janet arrived just before sunset. They said little as Anna dressed. Words felt unnecessary. This was sacred ground. When Anna stepped into the dress, it didn't transform her. It revealed her. Her shoulders squared naturally. Her breathing slowed. Her reflection no longer looked like someone asking permission to exist. Janet smiled. There you are. Outside, the city glowed. As they approached the venue, the sounds of celebration drifted through open doors. Laughter, music, champagne glasses clinking. This was Clara's world. A world that believed power was inherited, not earned. A world that mistook cruelty for confidence. Anna paused before the entrance. Her hand hovered over the door. Janet leaned close. One last thing, she said. Do not shrink. Not for comfort. Not for kindness. Not for anyone. Anna nodded. She pushed the doors open. The room didn't know it yet, but it was about to recalibrate itself. At first, nothing happened. People continued talking. Servers moved between tables. A toast began near the front. Then subtle shifts. A pause mid-sentence. A glance held too long. A quiet ripple of curiosity. Anna walked slowly, not dramatically, but deliberately. She didn't scan the room. She didn't search for Clara. She trusted gravity to do its work. People felt her before they understood why. Whispers followed, not cruel ones this time, but confused, admiring. Who is she? Do you know her? She carries herself like someone important. At the center of the room, Clara turned. Her smile was ready. Then it froze. This was not the woman she invited. This was not staff. This was not a joke. This was a presence she couldn't place. And that terrified her. Anna didn't look at Clara. She didn't need to. The power had already shifted. Because when Anna walked into that wedding, she wasn't there to win. She wasn't there to embarrass anyone. She wasn't there to reclaim status. She was there to reclaim self. And that, quiet, grounded, unshakable, was something no one in that room could take from her again. The car arrived. A sleek black sedan rolled to a stop at the entrance, its presence subtle yet commanding. The driver stepped out first, opening the door with quiet precision. And then Anna stepped out. At first, there was laughter nearby. Light, careless, floating on champagne and arrogance. Then it died. Mid-sentence. Mid-smile. Mid-breath. Whispers froze in throats that suddenly felt too tight to speak. Conversations collapsed into stunned quiet. The air itself seemed to thicken, as if the room had collectively realized it had misjudged something important. No one recognized the janitor. They saw grace. They saw power. They saw history walking forward, calm, deliberate, undeniable. Anna didn't rush. She didn't pose. She didn't perform. Her heels touched the ground with certainty, each step measured, unbothered by the eyes now locked on her. Heads turned fully. Bodies shifted unconsciously to make space. This was not pity. This was recognition. Inside the hall, Clara stood frozen. The woman she had invited as a joke no longer fit into any category Clara understood. This wasn't humiliation walking through the door. This was consequence. As Anna moved through the room, people watched with a kind of reverence they didn't know how to explain. Some felt admiration. Others felt confusion. And a few, those who remembered her name from years ago, felt something far heavier. Shame. A low murmur spread as fragments of truth surfaced. That's Anna, the foundation, years ago. She disappeared after collapse. I thought she left the city. The mockery drained from faces as memory returned. Disrespect softened into regret. People who once walked past her without a glance now stood straighter, suddenly aware of their own smallness. They replayed moments in their minds, ignored greetings, careless jokes, assumptions made too easily. Silence filled the room. Not the awkward kind, the reverent kind. Then someone began to clap, slowly, uncertainly, one pair of hands. Then another, then more. Applause rose, not loud, not celebratory, but sincere. A sound born from recognition, not entertainment. Anna raised a hand gently. The room quieted again. She stepped forward, not to a stage, not to a spotlight, but into her own truth. Her voice was calm, steady, unshaken. Dignity is not given by money, she said. It is carried even when no one is watching. No accusation, no bitterness, no revenge, just truth. She let the word settle, then continued, softly but firmly. Some of us lose everything. Titles, homes, status. But what we carry inside, that decides who we are when the world looks away. She paused, her gaze passing briefly over Clara, not with triumph, not with anger, but with clarity. I hope tonight reminds us, Anna finished, that no one is invisible by choice. She stepped back, and the room exhaled. Applause returned, this time stronger. Real, unavoidable. Clara didn't clap. She couldn't. For the first time in her life, power had slipped through her fingers without a fight. Not taken, not stolen, outgrown. Anna turned and walked away from the center of attention the same way she had entered, without urgency, without need. She didn't look back. She didn't need to, because the silence she left behind spoke louder than any insult ever could. And in that silence, a truth echoed through every corner of the room. True dignity doesn't announce itself. It arrives quietly and changes everything. Some people wear crowns on their heads. Others carry them quietly in their hearts. Anna didn't return to that room to prove anyone wrong. She didn't come to reclaim applause, status, or approval. She returned to remember herself. And sometimes that is the most powerful victory of all. If the story touched your heart, if it reminded you that dignity can survive even the darkest seasons, if it showed you that no one is ever truly invisible, then, like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe for more stories that inspire strength, courage, and quiet resilience. Because powerful journeys deserve to be told, and stories like Anna's deserve to be remembered. Red Heart,